Good morning, welcome to lecture 5. There are a few people in the class now who have had to pick up 303 because 305 was cancelled, and I'm sorry that this isn't your first choice. But I'm hoping that today's class might be of interest to people who are no longer able to take media in conflict, because it's about the visual imagery of conflict, and particularly imagery of death within conflict, and the role of photographers within wartime. And today's lecture is quite a long one, and so I'm going to upload it in 2 parts. Next week's lectures are going to be quite short because I'm not able to use the parts of documentaries that I wanted to in any legal way in an online learning environment. So next week's lectures are going to be focused on some of the key ideas from the readings and further ideas for photographers and genres of photographs that you might use for your assignments. And so I hope that the brevity of the lectures next week will help some of you who have just had to pick up the course in catching up a bit. So the way that I've structured the lectures in this part of the course is kind of as a back and forth between different views on photography and documentary. So we started with Sontag's really critical view of photography, and my lecture on Monday was pretty unsympathetic to the work of Sally Mann and Diane Arbus. And so today I want to bring the notion of witnessing into play and make a case that photographers might act as witnesses to events in order to mobilise or at least inform publics about violence and injustice and atrocity. And I want to make this case through asking you to watch a video on YouTube where James Nachtwey is talking about his work as a war and documentary photographer. And I think it's really a useful video, and I hope that you'll watch it. Some of you might want to use examples of his work for your assignments. If we were having real life lectures, I would have screened a documentary called War Photographer, which is about his work. But I think this is just as good because within the YouTube video, it's about him talking from his own perspective about what he understands his agenda to be. Now, because I'm talking about death and the representation of death and war, there are images of death in the lecture outline. So if you don't want to see these, please make sure that you follow along with the version of the lecture outline that doesn't have images in it, rather than complain later that you saw things that you didn't want to see. So I haven't put anything in that's too graphic, but then I'm not a very good judge of what's graphic and what's not, because I've seen a lot of gross stuff for my research. So yes, please follow along the outline without images, rather than, if you think you're going to have any issues with those. And I really would rather that you didn't look if there's any chance at all that it might be of concern to you, and it doesn't mean anything about you. It doesn't mean you're not tough or something. It's totally fine. Okay, so back to the audio.